It's Adam Drummond with Andy Heller of Central Telecoms, and that means that it is time for our weekly Expert NBN. I got that around the wrong way, didn't I, mate? It was always going to happen. NBN Expert Chat. It's each week at 12 o'clock. If you're in business and you've got confusion around the NBN, this is the man that's going to give you all the answers. Now, today we are talking about VoIP. That is not a boy band that's been in Eurovision. It is actually voice over internet protocol. Am I right on that, Andy?
Yeah.
Okay, now that means that you've got telephones in your office, but things are now a little bit more complicated because you've got the NBN for your internet, and now you've got your telephone service. People are having a lot of trouble around this. Let's start off by telling people what is VoIP.
Yeah, so VoIP, or as you say, voice over internet protocol, or voice over NBN, however you want to mention it. Essentially what it is, it's taking us away from the old analog Telstra network and the old public service telephone network and into NBN world. Essentially NBN is just an internet-based service, and then all your other office-based products and office services, the main one being your voice services, are now delivered over that internet connection.
Okay, so now this is where there's a bit of confusion because once upon a time, not that long ago, we had the internet connected and we had our phone lines connected, the two separate things. Now we're getting NBN connected, and people are saying, well, we've got to have our phones put onto the NBN as well. Is that the case?
Yeah, for sure. And depending on who you speak to, like you see a lot of customers that, the first thing they've really done is they worry about their internet connection. So they just go and convert their ADSL connection to NBN, and then think they're done. Unfortunately, the voice side and your voice and your fax and your alarms, your FPOS, your high caps machines, all those kind of products and services that utilise a phone line. They were originally utilising an analog phone line and using analog equipment, and now we're moving into this NBN world. They need to be able to read a digital or an internet-based signal. Okay,
so if you're watching this, it could be that you're watching it live on the Central Telecoms Facebook page. You could be watching it on our wagga-wagga.tv Facebook page. Central Telecoms also have a YouTube channel, and this is going live to that as well. It's a simulcast. Remember, because it is live, you can ask questions. I'll be checking on my phone if any questions come through on that as well. We've got some people behind the scenes that can look for those also. But let's talk about the biggest issue, mate. People lose their numbers. But you can't even ring them because they've gone to the NBN. Why is that?
We touched on it a little bit last week. It's called voice band continuity, or PSTN pass-through. So when you first convert your NBN connection, particularly on fibre to the node where we're utilising our old copper service lines, and you have to choose one of those lines to send your NBN connection down. So often you'll see a customer's lost its ADSL connection or it's lost its advertised line. It's because they've ordered that NBN connection on that particular line, and not necessarily ordered that the old analog services be active during that transition.
Okay.
So when you order your NBN connection, get your internet service live, you don't have to do the phone numbers at the same time. But if you're going to utilise one of your main numbers, then you need to make sure that you've got PSTN pass-through or voice band continuity on that line, so it continues to work.
Okay, let's talk about hardware. They call up Central Telecoms, they run a business, lots of employees. They're going to change over to the NBN, but they also want to change their phone system as well. What's the process? What are the options? What does the hardware look like?
For sure. So with the phone system side of things, a lot of people they're not aware that their old hardware might not be like NBN compatible, and it's instantly, or depending on the rep that they've spoken to, they've just been told a few different stories to either sell them a new phone system or convert via some adapters. And so the easiest way to explain it, thank you.
He loves to do, we've got this whiteboard, we never know what he's going to do, but he loves to do this Mr. Squiggle thing. So we're going to see, it's always best to show through diagrams though, isn't it? People are visual.
And it's also the diagrams I use in a meeting.
Great.
To me, what we're doing here, I'm not going to put this live on Facebook if it's a lie. It is what it is.
Exactly. So you're getting all the facts here.
So the idea here is, if this is your phone system, and then these are your handsets, sort of on desks lying around, and via structured cabling, they come into this side of the PBX or PABX, and then up here is where the phone lines come in off the street.
Okay.
So depending on what type of phone line you have, depends on what they call a trunk card your phone system will have. which means it reads that phone call in a certain way. So most people will just have phone lines coming in off the PSTN network, which is the network which is now fibre to the node via NBN.
Yep.
And if you've got an ISDN2, you'll have a BRI card. If you have an ISDN10, you'll have a PRI card. And over here you have your sort of SIP or your IP licensing.
Okay.
Apologies for my handwriting.
That's okay. We'll translate those later.
Yeah. So the idea here is say you've got 3 lines coming into your business, and you'll probably more than likely just have 3 PSTN lines coming in. And on those lines, you'll have things like caller ID, line hunt, voicemail.
Yes.
Just so that they all talk to each other via this box, so that when you're making calls, you're then choosing the right line to go out, or if you're unlimited call allowances or whatever.
Okay, that sounds simple enough.
Yeah. So these are the main ones which are being disconnected by NBN. If you've got an ISDN2 or an ISDN10, they're not just yet, but they will be in the coming months or years.
Okay.
So basically everything is moving towards this SIP or IP type licensing.
Great.
So essentially what you do is you can either upgrade this phone system, so it stops using this trunk card.
Yep.
And you plug your modem in here.
Yes.
Which then goes out to the internet.
Great.
Some providers, mainly speaking, your Telstras of the world, put an ATA in here.
What's an ATA, sorry?
That's an analog terminal adapter.
Okay, so it adapts from the analog line into the NBN line.
Yeah, so basically it brings in the digital one, which is your NBN line. Your modem sits here. You plug in a sort of a cheap adapter.
Yep.
And then usually they're like $50, $60 pieces of kit that you then plug into your $5,000 phone system.
Is this a Band-Aid solution for a longer term issue that you're going to have?
100%. So
okay.
Much like if you had an old TV before the digital switchover, you either bought this little adapter,
yep,
or you bought a new TV.
So a new TV or a set-top box, as they were trying to sell. And again, people can use set-top boxes, but it's a short-term solution.
I wouldn't even say that really. It's not even much of a fix. If you're watching the telly and there's a little bit of a jitter or it's a bit delayed, then you don't really notice.
Yep.
If you're talking to somebody over the phone and it's all crackly or it drops out, you get one-way voice, so they can hear you but you can't hear them. Generally it's all to do with this, either one of these 2 products or your phone system.
Okay, so let's talk about what I would do, which is scrap this idea and come in directly from the NBN into the SIP.
Yeah.
That is an S. A reminder to people that this is an S that Andy has done. Take us through what this means for business now, and how do they do it so they avoid losing the phone number at that analog point and porting it over to this one?
Well, basically what you're trying to do is just use an internet-based phone.
Sure.
So you can either reconvert your old phone system and use this sort of SIP trunk,
yep,
or you could just scrap it entirely and just buy an IP phone, which are the standard now.
Okay.
And rather than having these phone systems, you basically just get a phone, and that connects directly into the modem.
Okay, so you've got your modem on the left there, on your left, the audience, and then this is your phone itself. Yeah,
so you have your sort of keypad there.
And this is the same modem that you're running from the internet, isn't it, for the office?
So basically, because you've only got the one line coming in, and
that's right,
everything comes into this one internet connection.
Sure.
And all your services run over the top of that.
Okay.
So that's obviously your voice, fax, FPOS.
What's a fax?
A fax machine, yeah. You don't get many of those.
No, you don't get any faxes.
But fax machines are quite important for certain industries.
Well, solicitors, for instance, they love them.
Yeah, well, that's it. Medical and insurance. Yep. It's still classed the most secure form of transport. So for some industries, they rely on the fax.
Yeah, it's still an amazing piece of technology when you think about it.
I don't think I've ever used it.
Oh, I haven't used one? Too young?
So yeah, that's it. So voice, fax, FPOS, alarms.
Yep.
All of these.
That's a big one, the FPOS.
Yeah, for sure. And most of them are just really converted over to a 3G, 4G SIM card. But depending on what you want to do, and you can utilise this NBN connection. But the one that causes the biggest headache is this phone system. So we advocate the use of migrating everything over to an IP phone.
Sure.
We use just an industry standard. We use Yalinks.
You use just one type of phone? That's what you sell? It's not like you get a range of products?
The main industry brand is Yalink.
Okay.
And they're just so easy to manage, so easy to use. to the point where we just include all the maintenance, ongoing costs, upgrades, service on those phones included in your monthly bill. So you never ever have to pay any extra for your phone system. You just buy the handsets for a couple $100 each. So you're not looking at an expensive $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 phone system. You're looking at a couple of $1,000 investment. And it would probably cost you a couple of $1,000s to invest into your old hardware that was not designed to work on NBN.
Let's talk about, we've brought up cost, and obviously that's a hardware, that's a capital cost. Then you've got your own ongoing costs. So phone calls and packages and systems. Yeah. You used to have an internet bundle package with phone lines with the telco, and it might have been, X amount per month and you get unlimited whatever.
Sure.
How have those plans changed since going over to NBN? Are they all pretty similar, or are they different?
It depends on the provider, and it depends on the quality as well. Like if you're using an internet connection, then you want to make sure that the quality is like sky high.
Oh, absolutely.
So particularly for a business, you don't want to have any of that jitter or like issues on your phone.
Well, I've noticed that some people are also doing video conferencing on these phones as well. So you've got the image to think of, not just the sound.
Yeah, for sure. So depending on what you want to utilise these handsets for, so video conferencing or just a simple phone call, you want to make sure that you've got all the flexibility of being able to dial out to a mobile, transfer out to a mobile, and have the old like line hunt services.
Yes.
All those kind of features. The main one being wanting to be able to present your just at one advertised line, and not having all your line hunt numbers or having to present as a private number, so that to keep that level of consistency within your business.
Right.
And this IP or this SIP based telephony basically allows you to have 10 times more functionality and support, and 10 times cheaper phone calls.
Okay, excellent. Now I'm just checking the Facebook page here to see we've got 3 accounts. Any questions come through yet? No, none off screen. As some of these will happen when it's on demand as well. It's hard to capture everyone when we're going live. What's the most common question when it comes to VoIP and the NBN? What's the main challenge that you're seeing with your customers?
I think most people just don't understand. They're told very quickly, oh, your phone system won't work, or it's not compatible on the NBN.
Right.
And as we've just shown there are 3 options. It's just that the cheapest and easiest and the best quality is just to move to an NBN
all-in-one solution,
a proper IP solution.
Absolutely. So now, if people want to get in contact with the weekly NBN expert, Andy Heller, where should they go? Is it the Facebook page is still the best place to go? Because they can even call you from that, can't they? Directly?
Yeah, for sure. Like last week, we said we'd give people a free coffee, and we had a few people hit us up for that.
Really?
So
there you go. And is it still going?
Yeah,
people can still get a free coffee off you.
Yeah, we'll do it again this week.
Okay, there you go. So this week as well, Andy and the guys at Central Telecoms are giving you a free coffee. Plus, you can sit there and pour out all of your frustrations with the NBN, and in particular VoIP if you're having trouble with that as well. He's got all the answers, he's got all the solutions, and he can demystify a lot of the myths out there as well that we've all been hearing about. Anything else you want to add, mate, before we come back at 12 noon next Tuesday?
No, just... It doesn't need to be as hard as everybody thinks it is, and the switch over to NBN is quite simple, and it shouldn't have any downtime at all. You just have to do it right.
Just have to get the right people. Thanks very much for watching. This has been the weekly NBN expert chat with Andy Heller and Central Telecoms, and we'll see you at 12 noon next Tuesday. Bye for now.